our first one is in-house. It's one of our moderators of our Discord and also a nonprofits host. This is Malty from Washington. Hello, Malty. What's going on?
Hello, Dan. Hello, Puck. How are you doing?
Hi, doing well.
Doing well, Malty. Good to hear you again. What's going on?
Well, sometimes I get frustrated and give up on conversations. I know it's important to keep lines of communication open between friends and family. How best can we listen to our colleagues, our friends and family, when they have claims that can't be substantiated?
Man, that's the question, right? Like, how do we do this? Like, how do we even begin to have these kinds of conversations? Like, when is it even appropriate? Sometimes I think is a good thing to ask as well, because sometimes people will say something that is just completely unsubstantiated, completely unreasonable, but like it's your boss, or like you're at the table with people and it's like, is this the time or place? I think to answer that question first, and then I'll talk about the patience part, right? First, like I think it matters as to what is close to your integrity. If somebody were to say something that was personally insulting or hurtful to myself or the people around me, then I think that's a time where you can push back, or you can fight back. If somebody is saying, if one of my family members is saying something about the LGBT community or something, that happens sometimes. I will be the first to say, like, hey, I don't appreciate that, and I don't like it when you say that kind of things around me, because like I know people in that community, and it's disrespectful, and that's what harms my sense of integrity. So that's something to ask about, how patient you can really be about certain kinds of topics, because if somebody's saying something like, again, like Bigfoot's a popular one we always go back to, right? Like whether somebody believes in Bigfoot or not is not really immediately going to affect my life. Whether somebody believes that an LGBT person should have equal rights to me or you, like that does have more of a consequence. So it's something that's going to be a sliding scale for everybody. But, let's talk about the patience thing too. I'll go into that. So like, can you practice patience? Yes, I think you can. I think I've been doing this long enough now to where I've heard so many things, like stuff just kind of slides off my back. But if you don't have that kind of experience, it can be harder to engage in stuff, especially some of the wilder and crazier stuff. Malty, I know you listen to my show, so you hear about all the kinds of stuff that we talk about on here. But again, I guess it goes back to this idea of, all right, is what this person is saying, like, are they violating my sense of integrity? Are they like actually harming me in any way by their speech? And if they really aren't, if they're really not immediately posing a threat, then I can deal with that. I can work with that. And I'd rather be somebody that I can at least, try to have a sense of patience with it. And I'd rather talk to somebody that has a sense of patience with themselves than talk to somebody that's going to be, all up in my grill with whatever point they have made. Not to say that there isn't a time and place for anger, but that you always have to think about what's your audience, what's your situation, what's the best way to effectively communicate. So anyway, that's my long answer to that question. Puck, I want to hear your take.
Before I give you my take, if I know a lot of people who watch this show are only listening on podcast or on YouTube after the fact, but if you do get a chance to watch the show, please do, because you just missed about 2 minutes of Pico going on full on predator mode. It was very entertaining to watch. It's the cutest cat ever. I suppose the most important thing that I had to remember is that you never really owe anybody a conversation about that.
That's true.
If you decide that it's getting too heated and there's nothing productive going on, it's well within your rights to just say, okay, this is not a good time to talk about this or something, and just end the conversation there.
Yeah.
And I get it. This is kind of hard when everybody's gathered around the turkey, and in my cases, it's always some innocuous comment, like someone says, "Oh, thank God that God was looking out for me, because I would have been in a serious accident." And if little things like that, I can usually just let that slide, right? Like the dessert course is not the time to bring up, well, how do you know it was God that was really doing that for you?
Sure.
I'm with Dan, though, that when it starts to become more dangerous speech, like Dan brought up the example of being disparaging toward the LGBT community, that is a good time to speak up. Now, the question is whether to speak up right then and there and to stand up at the table and say, hey, this talk does not happen at my table, or if one should, I don't know, maybe call attention to it later. Instead of calling out, maybe you call them in and say, hey, I wanted to talk to you about something that you said at dinner last night. And here's why I think that it's a harmful thing to say. So I think another part of it is choosing when you have the conversation and in what avenue. I like having messages over or conversation over messages because you have more of a chance to look back on your statement and make sure you're saying exactly what you want to say. And you don't have to respond immediately. And in a lot of cases, that kind of takes out some of the immediate heated hostility.
Yeah,
I like that calling. I'm sorry, Dan.
Go ahead, Malty. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say I really like that. The idea of calling people in instead of calling them out. That's a good way of framing it. Thank you.
I like that phrase too. And you're right. Like time is just as important as place as well. You know, like doing it in front of other people, while it may feel good in that moment to try to call somebody out like that. If your goal is to change somebody's mind, like that is going to put them on the defensive really, really fast. And, you know, you're just not going to do as good as you'd want. So, yeah, I like that. I don't know. I don't know if there's any more to explore with this particular.
Well, the only thing that I would add, like if I'm a guest in someone's home and they want to do something like offer a benediction over the dinner, that's the last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to say, well, do you think that actually did any benefit? Like that's probably what I'm thinking. But while I'm there, I'm going to respect whatever traditions that they have in their house. And if they want to have a moment of silence and prayer, then I will, at the very least, you know, respectfully comply with the silence.
Right. This goes back to my idea of like respecting your own integrity, right? If just the idea of prayer, if that goes too far for your personal boundary, then that's your personal boundary. For me, I grew up most of my life as a Christian, and if something like that happened, it's like, okay, I can bow my head for 5 seconds. But yeah, like being the rebel atheist at the table that's saying, I'm not going to pray. You know, I'm not going to, I mean, like, you know, I get it. You're right. You shouldn't have to do it, right? Like you're not obligated to, except the cultural, you know, biases and the context of the situation. But we also people, and we also have to navigate our lives, and you know, there's going to be better ways to do that than others if your goal is to really convince somebody of, you know, the truth of your speech. But I don't know. I think there's always going to be an open-ended question, but that's my take. And Puck, I like your take as well. So thanks for the call, Malty. I appreciate it.
Well, thank you. Thank you for all you do, guys. Have a good one. See ya.
Thank you for all you do, Malty. And we will see you later. Yeah, Malty, cool guy. If you ever get a chance to go on the after show Discord of Truth Wanted, Malty is usually there throwing out questions for us. And he's really also been helping out at the ACA with the ACA for a while.